Heisenberg absorbing personalities like a chameleon, and the entire show exists in Jesse's chemistry daydream. These theories get darker the deeper you dig. Number 1. Walt absorbs the traits of everyone he kills. Have you ever noticed how Walter White becomes a patchwork of his victims' personalities as the series progresses? After eliminating someone, Walt seems to unconsciously adopt their mannerisms, preferences, and habits, almost like he's collecting trophies beyond just their lives. After Mike's death, Walt's drinking habits shift dramatically. He abandons his usual neat drinks and starts ordering them on the rocks, exactly how Mike preferred his whiskey. When dealing with Lydia later, he even uses one of Mike's signature phrases, slipping into the dead man's tone with unsettling ease. Then, there's the curious case of Crazy Eight's sandwich preference. After Walt kills him in that basement, those distinctive crustless sandwiches start appearing in the White household. Walt didn't just take Crazy Eight's life, he absorbed his culinary quirk. The most significant transformation comes after Gus Fring's explosive demise. Walt's personality undergoes a chilling metamorphosis. He becomes calculating, patient, and methodical. The panicked, reactive teacher vanishes, replaced by someone who arranges deaths with the same cold precision as the man whose face he blew off. Number 2. Breaking Bad is a prequel to The Walking Dead. Both series air on AMC, but fans have spotted connections that suggest they might share more than just a network. The theory proposes that Walter White's blue meth might be the catalyst that eventually triggers the zombie apocalypse in The Walking Dead. The most compelling evidence? In an early Walking Dead episode, Daryl rummages through Merle's drug stash and pulls out a bag of distinctively blue crystals, identical to Walt's signature Blue Sky product. That specific electric blue color wasn't just a coincidence, it was Heisenberg's trademark. The connections keep stacking up. Negro y Azul, the narco corrido celebrating Heisenberg, plays in an episode of Fear the Walking Dead. Glenn drives a red Dodge Challenger that looks remarkably similar to the one Walt bought for Walt Jr. Even Daryl's description of Merle's dealer sounds suspiciously like Jesse, complete with his characteristic bitch catchphrase. While never confirmed by creators of either show, the theory brings an apocalyptic coda to Walter White's legacy. His pride and ambition didn't just destroy his family and associates, they might have ended the world. Number 3. Ted is Walter Jr.'s real father. This theory targets one of the most sacred relationships in Breaking Bad, Walt's bond with his son. Supporters point to a seemingly innocent comment when Ted remarks on Walt Jr.'s growth with a smirk, saying, "good genes," which some viewers interpret as a subtle acknowledgement of paternity rather than casual small talk. Physical similarities between Ted and Walt Jr. are frequently cited. Some fans argue that Walt Jr. shares more facial features and hair characteristics with Ted than with his supposed father. The timing works too. Ted and Skyler's affair in the series proves they had chemistry, but the theory suggests their connection began much earlier, possibly before Walt Jr. was even born. The editing choices during conversations about Walt Jr.'s paternity include telling pauses and glances that could be interpreted as the show planting subtle seeds of doubt. If true, this theory adds another layer of tragic irony to Walt's story. His crusade to provide for his family was partly for a child who wasn't biologically his. Number 4. Hank suspected Walt long before the bathroom revelation. While the bathroom scene with Gale's inscribed copy of Leaves of Grass is presented as Hank's eureka moment, some fans believe he harbored suspicions about Walt much earlier. The theory suggests that Hank's detective instincts were triggered long before he consciously connected the dots. Early in the series, when Hank shows Walt the gas mask recovered from the desert lab, Walt's reaction isn't just awkward, it's bizarrely suspicious, and Hank notices with a curious expression. In Season 2, there's a moment where Hank checks Walt's car and appears to be either planting or retrieving what might be a tracking device. Something you don't do unless you're already suspicious. During a later conversation about Gale Boetticher, Walt aggressively downplays the man's brilliance in a way that catches Hank's attention, prompting him to revisit Gale's case files and notice the Los Polos Hermanos napkin with Gus's writing. These breadcrumbs suggest that subconsciously, Hank was gathering evidence against Walt long before he allowed himself to consciously consider his brother-in-law as Heisenberg. Number 5. Breaking Bad is all Jesse's dream. What if the entire series is just Jesse Pinkman nodding off during one of Mr. White's boring chemistry lectures? This theory suggests Jesse never actually left Walt's classroom, and the entire saga unfolds in his half-asleep imagination. The power dynamics throughout the show reflect a dreamlike quality. Walt remains the authority figure, and Jesse can never fully escape his orbit despite numerous attempts. Supporters point to the series' occasional use of surreal imagery, like the famous crawlspace scene where Walt's maniacal laughter seems to distort reality itself. Number 6. Skyler's tragic end is hidden in plain sight. This haunting theory focuses on a single shot in the series finale. When Walt visits Skyler for the last time, she's left standing in silhouette against the kitchen wall. Some viewers believe the shadow behind her head stretches downward in a way that resembles a hanging figure, an ominous visual foreshadowing of her fate after the credits roll. This isn't random speculation. Vince Gilligan once revealed an alternate ending where Walt would find Skyler dead by suicide in a bathtub after cutting her wrists. While the writers ultimately deemed this too bleak to include, fans believe that shadow serves as a subtle nod to what might have been, or what might still happen after the story ends. Earlier in the series, Skyler's slow walk into the family pool during Walt's birthday party is interpreted as practice for self-destruction, a visual precursor to the final silhouette. The implication is devastating. After everything Walt put her through, the lies, danger, and social isolation, Skyler might not survive the aftermath of his downfall, making his promise of freedom from him tragically ironic. Number 7. Felina is Walt's dying dream. The theory suggests Walt never made it out of that snow-covered New Hampshire cabin. He dies alone, and everything in the finale is merely his fantasy playing out as he slips away, allowing him the perfect revenge and closure he could never achieve in reality. After Ozymandias, Walt is emaciated, coughing blood, and isolated from the world. Fans note the show never explicitly shows him leaving New Hampshire, which opens the possibility that his journey home exists only in his mind. His revenge unfolds too perfectly. He manages to outwit the neo-Nazis, save Jesse, poison Lydia, and even share a final moment with Skyler. The obituary mentions lung cancer rather than a gunshot wound, potentially supporting the idea that he succumbed to his disease rather than dying dramatically in a meth lab. The dreamlike pacing, flawless execution of his plans, and serene calm throughout the finale feel less like a conclusion and more like a dying man's ideal version of events, a fantasy of competence and closure from someone who has lost everything.